So there's this constant battle between Europe and Apple, and that gave us something great. It gave us this USB-C port. Apple had to transition to when they introduced the new iPhone models, the iPhone 15 lineup. Well, there are some devices Apple still sells, such as the MagSafe and the AirPods Max, but it's just a matter of time before those products also will transition to a USB-C port. That's a good thing, but the European Union seem to be having more strict rules when it comes to what these called gatekeepers, and Apple is one of those gatekeepers. The reason for that is because they have a huge market share in the entire world. I mean, the amount of people that uses Apple product is insanely huge, and third parties, when they create stuff on their software on iOS, they seem to be very limited when it comes to publishing their apps on this iOS ecosystem. Well, going back to the EU, they've created this thing called the Digital Market Act and the Digital Service Act, which stands for DMA and DSA, and those acts impose some regulations on Apple, and Apple is not very happy with those regulations. So that brings me to the subject of this video, which is AI when it comes to iOS 18. As you know, with the introduction of iOS 18, Apple also introduced their biggest update to Siri and to AI as a whole. They've called it Apple Intelligence. Such an Apple way to call a future something else than the entire world. I mean, the entire world just called it AI, artificial intelligence, but no, Apple decided to call it Apple Intelligence. But that thing is not available in Europe and also in other countries such as China. But let's just specifically focus on Europe because that's where I'm from. I can't use Apple Intelligence on my iPhone just because there's this thing called the Digital Market Act and the Digital Service Act. Well, Europe demands basically two things, which is protecting the user data and also allowing third parties to just introduce their applications on the market without having to deal with a lot of headache that Apple imposed to those third parties. But Apple says, well, we can't do that because if we allow a lot of freedom on our ecosystem, they will not guarantee that high of a security Apple guarantees when it comes to their product. And let's be honest, when it comes to security, Apple tries to put it at number one on their list. They kind of live up to that. It's not like they have breaches everywhere. It's kind of a quite secure thing that you have in your hand. And you pay for that security. But Apple says, no, we can't guarantee that third parties have way more freedom than they have already, because that way user security will go down, and that's not what we're here for. At the end of the day, I'm not able to use Apple Intelligence on iOS 18. I've downloaded the developer version. iOS 18 is on my phone, and the update is now set at iOS 18.1. To go back to Apple Intelligence, it says right there, a personal intelligence system integrated deeply into your phone. Okay, let's try that out. Well, no, that's not possible because Apple Intelligence is not currently available in your country or region. It will be introduced at some point, but at this point, it's not yet available just because of that Digital Market Act and just because that Digital Markets Act and Digital Services Act the EU has introduced, or the EU has as a regulation. I've found an article on Mac Rumors that claims to have the solution for having a workaround on this thing, but not to discredit those guys. They put a great job when it comes to just giving us information about Apple as a whole. But they're writing like you can go to general and you just have to change your region and language. Well, my language is already set on English, and if I change the region to the United States, okay, I just have to go back to Apple Intelligence, go to language, make sure it's set to English United States, but still it's not possible yet to use Apple Intelligence on this phone. It is possible to use it on the beta version when it comes to the Mac. There are some services or some Apple Intelligence features I can use on that. But for now, it's kind of impossible to get Apple Intelligence on the iPhone. So yeah, that's the whole spiel about this Digital Markets Act and Digital Services Act that the EU imposed on Apple and these so-called gatekeepers. Maybe you know a way on how I can go around and get Apple Intelligence on this phone. Maybe you can show me, maybe you can tell me about it in the comment section below. I know there's this thing called a VPN. Maybe I should install a VPN and get my location changed to the United States. I'm not sure if that will work. Maybe I'll try that out in a next video. Let me in the comment section below if you want to see that video. For now, thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.